we're a little new to the podcast game. Just got this podcast equipment this weekend for our trip up to GoKey Basecamp.
Yeah, and here we are at GoKey Basecamp. We're going to have a conversation here about GoKey, governance, RealFi, all that good stuff. And here we are on stage here. We got Justin over there. Justin, say a few words for the people.
Hi, everyone. My name's Justin. I'm a part of the Clarity team, do a lot of user experience work. Excited today to be here with Craig and check out the GoKey Basecamp in person.
And Craig, say what's up.
What is up? Welcome up here, guys. It's awesome for this to finally happen. We've been talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah. For a little background, why we're sitting and you're looking at the Rockies over there, we are at GoKey Basecamp, which is GoKey's first sub-DAO, correct? And
That's right.
And it is a pilot project to own and operate a property as a DAO.
Precisely.
Wow.
So GoKey Basecamp, figuratively, it's our pilot project. It's where we're starting as a DAO, trying to figure some things out where RealFi meets on-chain governance and finance. But in a literal sense, we're literally going to camp up here at some point. So we have actual equipment running in the background, cutting in and access to be able to bring in like camper vans and build a tent platform. And we're strategically cutting out a few trees to open up some views and the drive lanes. So
yeah,
beautiful day to be up here.
Yeah, it is awesome to be up here, the fresh air, up in the altitude. It's a little different from Florida, you know. I'm used to the low, wet, and hot air. Now we got the high, dry, and cold air, which is nice. So I guess, Craig, question for you is kind of just tell us the story of GoKey, where you started and how you got to the point of creating DAOs to own and manage properties.
Yeah, well, it's actually a really long story, so I'll try to keep it pretty brief. But I think you guys know, like when I was probably early 20s, I was a real estate broker up here in this same area of Colorado, and I did a lot of like land and ranch type of brokerage. And I was always really excited about the idea of like, man, what if me and some friends could buy one of these sick ranches that are probably going to, be worth millions of dollars someday, and camp on them, maybe build a few homes or just see what we can do. And, learning about the process and everything, like it's kind of a arduous type of process, right? Like trying to manage a big group of friends and disputes and how do you make decisions and all of that. 10, 15, 20 years later, like there's all this technology now to help do exactly that kind of thing. So it's kind of like marrying these like old ideas of like kind of cooperative property ownership and building and developing cool things together, married with this new like digital paradigm of on-chain governance and tooling like you guys are building.
Yeah, you said it. I remember we were having a conversation virtually recently, and you were talking about how you're like combining these well-established legacy systems with the technology of the future. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about GoKey is like, in this ecosystem, we always have like meme coins and these coins where, you don't really know what it's for. But like with GoKey, you have the opportunity to buy an NFT that represents ownership in an actual property, in land, in something physical. So that RealFi aspect and like tokenizing real estate in a way is something really cool. And the coolest thing about GoKey is it's actually happening. Like, we're not just talking about it. We're sitting at GoKey Basecamp right now. Like, this land is under contract. It will be owned and operated by a DAO that operates on Cardano. So, Craig, can you tell us a little more about kind of the legal side of it? So, if I am an individual that wants to be part of the GoKey DAO, the sub-DAO that owns and operates this Basecamp, what does the process look like? What's the legal structure? How do you become a member? All that stuff.
Yeah. So, unfortunately in the U.S., when it comes to assembling groups of investors, like there are a lot of potential legal pitfalls and steps you have to take in terms of, making sure you stay legal and compliant with securities laws. And, I kind of learned that back in the day in graduate school, like doing a lot of work around syndications and investment analysis, and kind of furthering that education and like how do you do all of these kind of things. It was I always worked with like families and other groups of friends, usually older at the time and deeper pockets, more established, who could like bring these things together. And I was like, okay, how do you do that without getting into the realm of securities and things? But more recently we discovered through some conversations we've had with attorneys, just trying to get creative and figure out like, what is the best type of legal structure for this type of arrangement. We sort of uncovered the it's a SEC exemption for what are called
the
investment
club
clubs.
model.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us more about that investment club model. Like how many people can be involved? What are kind of the key bullet points to know what kind of structure it is that people jump into when they do purchase one of these NFTs?
Yeah, for sure. So a key thing to remember about an investment club is it's really designed for a relatively small group of friends, family, or community members. We're kind of extending that out to be like our online community members as well, because it's 2024 and that's a real thing in the world. Yep. So there are, like I said, exemptions. So a couple of the most important elements are these. So what really distinguishes this from like what would you would normally think of as a normal security or investment contract is that this is intended to be an actively managed investment. So the three of us are all members of GoKey Basecamp, and we have quite a few more from the GoKey community. We all legally have to actively make investment decisions together. And so that's where the DAO tooling comes in really handy and helps not only keep us legal, it gives us like an on-chain record of like our legal compliance. The other important part of it is that it is private. It's within our community, so we can't go out and we can't run Facebook or Twitter ads saying, hey, come invest in GoKey Basecamp or some other sub-DAO. It's a private community thing where we all know each other to some extent. Everyone gets KYC'd and things like that. But in general, the kind of key parameters are you can't have more than 99 individuals, and they have to be individuals, like natural persons, like an LLC can't become a member of the sub-DAO. We talked about the active management versus passive. Talked about the no public advertising or general solicitation. There are quite a few others, but those are the key aspects. And for the most part, if you stay within those guardrails, you kind of have this SEC safe harbor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Justin, any thoughts up to this point?
Yeah, so if I am, listening to this and I'm interested in becoming part of the GoKey DAO, so it sounds like it's going to be limited to 99 people because of, the U.S. laws and how things need to be structured. So I would go through some sort of KYC process and then get a token or an NFT, and that would represent some sort of ownership in this actual land that we're sitting on right now. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, so that's the general idea behind the sub-DAOs.
Yeah.
So to take a little bit of a step back and add some context, we've kind of landed on this really unique DAO model where we've created GoKey DAO. And you can think of that almost as like a social DAO where people who are interested in real estate and doing things, in terms of investing on chain in real world assets, can kind of come together, get to know each other, learn from each other. And when you're a member of that private DAO, then you can become eligible to join individual sub-DAOs. Mm-hmm. So what's really cool about that is like not only can you join a sub-DAO, you as a member of the GoKey DAO, you can propose your own sub-DAO ideas. So that's a lot of fun because we in our token gated Discord that we have a whole sub-DAO proposal ideas channel. So I know you've proposed like a European type vacation property. GoKey Basecamp is in there. We have a relatively new member to the DAO. Costa Rica is in there, has been proposed. And it's a great mechanism to, if you have an idea for a sub-DAO.
Right.
I mean, people from time to time might have terrible ideas. So it's a great way to like test the waters and see if anyone's even interested in it. But if it's a good idea, it might get traction right away.
Right.
You know, we have a relatively new member who joined GoKey DAO. He's like, this is super cool. Let's propose to do a sub-DAO loan pool with Empower. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And then he like went out and contacted him, and we've been in touch with him, and the Empower team's like, that's a killer idea. And it's really exciting.
I think that's cool that, you know, somebody who's new to your DAO can be the one that's, you know, presenting the idea to you know, make a new partnership and make a new connection. And I think that's part of the cool part about DAOs is it doesn't have to be, you know, the CEO of a company, his brainchild of an idea that he's, you know, ramming through the company. It can really be, you know, anybody proposing this, and if it's a genuinely good idea, you know, the community will rally around that, and people realize people are, you know, reasonable actors, and will realize that's just a good idea, and we should participate in that. So I think that's really cool.
Exactly. It's a great way to help capture like the collective intelligence and experience and wisdom of the group.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of DAOs is that collective intelligence of like anyone, like we're open to your ideas, especially with these sub-DAOs. Like I threw in that sub-DAO idea because I'm like, oh, that would be cool. I wonder if it will catch on, right?
Yeah.
So, and some people were interested, and it's like, okay, it's something that could happen. I want to like take a step back for a second and talk about kind of what's the future of the Basecamp. So what's being built down there? What's that big bulldozer? What's going on down there? What's going to be built? How could the property be used? And then get into kind of the bigger vision of what GoKey DAO becomes. So we'd love to talk about just your vision on that.
Yeah, well, you know, in the spirit of what we were just talking about, you know, we're all going to decide together, basically. But in my mind, you know, I kind of took the lead on proposing Basecamp, and I have some other ideas for cooperative property investments here in Colorado. That could be a lot of fun. But the idea behind Basecamp, primarily, I mean, this is a small piece of property. It's a little under 3 acres. Great place to camp and things. It's kind of remote. If you wanted to kind of capitalize on some business opportunities, I think it would be an awesome spot to have like glamping type site, or people with camper vans. You know, like I own one and I travel in it a lot, and I know like there's always like people looking for cool places to camp and also be able to stretch out after traveling for a few days. So who knows, we could maybe have a few other camps, have a little network. I mean, that could be a little business. We could potentially buy a larger property where you can build 10 or 20 sites all on one property nearby, where people are taking advantage of this vast array of like recreational opportunities around here. But you know, over time, I think like from an investment perspective, like we should try to get into some like real investment properties, like buy starting with some small multifamily type properties where, you know, as a DAO, we raise capital like as equity investors, and we go to a bank and borrow some money as well, and like kind of take these like best practices and like how people really make money in real estate investing, and then layering in the DAO type governance. And you can do a lot of that with the investment club model, but I think over time, as our community grows and all these concepts get more traction, then we could do more sophisticated securitized offerings which have all the due registration with the SEC, but still could be managed somewhat as a DAO, but maybe gives some people opportunities to be more passive investors, because a lot of investors don't want to be hands-on. A lot do, and there's a lot of benefits. There's pros and cons. There's a whole world of investment types of opportunities, and it's a wide spectrum. So there's
so much
infinite options, really.
There's so many different directions that the community can drive GoKey.
For sure.
And same with Clarity. I think it's awesome that this new type of organizational structure enables like that real community feel, where it's like, we're doing some serious shit, but we can all do it collectively.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I've always identified, like getting back to when I was first talking about like how I wanted to do these kind of things with friends who like not just wanted a passive investment where it's like, okay, I'm going to invest in a 10 unit multifamily in Cleveland and earn 10% a year.
Yeah.
Like we're going to invest in a cool property where we can also enjoy it as a lifestyle amenity, right?
Yeah.
And have kind of this network of properties where I'm a part owner of a property in Europe and one in Costa Rica and one in Colorado, and just have fun.
Yeah. So I want to take this opportunity to talk about the vacation home sub-DAO idea in Europe.
Yeah.
So
pitch
I
it.
think,
This is your moment.
yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking is 52 NFTs. If you buy one, you get rights to 1 full week at the property a year. And the other thing you can do is lend out your NFT if you're not going to go that year, so someone else can pick it up and take that vacation. And that's pretty much it. It's not too crazy. It's like there's 52 people that are part of this DAO, where everyone gets access to this, and maybe the DAO can vote to like rent it out or whatever it wants to do. But that's my pitch. So if you're interested, it's happening in the GoKey Discord.
I love the idea. So as a potential investor, I'm like, okay, well, which week do I get?
Yeah.
So that's like, all weeks aren't created equal. They all have different
definitely.
values. So then as a community, you have to figure out real world types of decisions like that. So like that's, another element of like this Basecamp concept of where we're going to try to start getting down the path of figuring out these inevitable types of questions that are going to arise, right?
Got to learn by doing. You got to learn by
exactly. It's hard to anticipate everything. Exactly.
We're doing this pilot project here.
Yeah.
Justin, any other questions from you for Craig, or any thoughts you had?
No, I just I think actually being out here in the property has really made this a lot more real, and I'm super excited to see what the next couple months look like. I mean, how long did you say you've had the property? A month?
I put it under contract. So just to be clear, like, because this is a process and there are things to figure out, like, I decided to go ahead and buy the property personally first, so that we would have a seller that could work with the DAO.
Sure.
Because like imagine going to a normal seller and being like, okay, I want to buy the property, but I need you to hold on to it for 6 weeks while we form a DAO and a sub DAO and try to use USDM fiat-backed stablecoin to buy your property. They're gonna be like, no, take a hike, buddy.
Yeah.
So like, this was a good way just to lock up the property. The property is relatively low value, so like I could just buy it.
Yeah.
We'll transfer it to the DAO in a way on our timeline that makes sense, and it lowers the risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
cool
yeah,
to
but
see,
yeah,
it's cool to see the progress that's already being made here, and
Yeah.
you're already able to see, what is the beginnings of the GoKey Basecamp, and already imagining different campsites at different locations and plotting things out. I know Craig's been here a lot over the last couple of weeks and months scoping out the place, and I think it's a pretty awesome view that he got here. So
yeah,
I think everybody's gonna really like it.
$1 million view for tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best arbitrage opportunities there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to wrap up here, what is like a call to action you would have to people who are generally interested in blockchain and real estate and being involved in different sub-DAO properties? Like, what's the best way to get in touch with GoKey or become a part of that movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing a person could do right now is just kind of try to start following some of our socials, Twitter, check out our website. We're trying to add more content to explain the different concepts that we're building a little more clearly. But if what you've heard so far is already resonating with you, like, you can buy a Founders NFT, one of our Explorers NFTs, and that grants you the token gated access to the Discord, the private channels, and then also allows you to propose ideas or join a sub DAO. And that's probably the best way to get started and learn about it. But we are also trying to produce more general content of like, help people understand like, why is like DeFi and on-chain governance such a good thing for traditional real estate markets, which have been like really slow to be digitally disrupted like all the rest of the world. So there's a lot of really cool things coming. There's a ton of different business models that are already floating around out there, and tons more to be introduced. So just exciting time to be part of all of it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this was our trip and interview at GoKey Basecamp. Beautiful view here in the Rockies. Started something special. Feels like a little slice of history. This is going to be the first, maybe there's another one, but I'm pretty sure it's the first land that is owned and operated by a DAO that operates on Cardano. So pretty cool stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks, guys.